Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of the Lunch Bunch Show. Today it's going to be very special because we have our special guests who are here every week. So we're going to be talking about consumerism. We're going to be rallying around the flag of life, liberty, and the pursuit of stuff. Do you have enough stuff? Well, we're coming up to close to Christmas, so if you don't have enough stuff, you'll probably get enough by Christmas. And what's the effect of that? What happens to our society when we just fill our house with stuff, fill our lives with stuff? Does it take us our focus away from the real things, the things that money can't buy, or is that just a silly old 30s cliche? So we're going to go into that subject for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to go to the lunchbox where our panelists share what they came across this week that they want to share with you, and then finish with the doggy bag, which is a tip you can take home with you to help you manage your social media, manage your marketing, or maybe just manage your life. So let's go. Let's start. So consumerism, big topic and very apropos given the time of year. So I think no one's going to argue the fact that we live in a very materialistic world. And there are people that, don't buy into that, pardon the pun, but the vast majority do. And some would even say it's the engine that drives our economy, that drives our country. But are we going to be driving off a cliff? And that's what I want to ask our panel. What is the state of consumerism? Has it changed since your lifetimes? And where are we going with it? So who wants to start that conversation?
I'll jump in.
Great, Randy. Thank you, Randy. And I'm sorry, Randy, I didn't introduce
I think your audience is getting very familiar with us. Even BL who guests with us all the time. So I think
okay. Well, if you want to know more,
we're all familiar faces. Okay. But I would say that I guess to preface it to say has it changed? Has it changed in my lifetime? I was born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s, and to say has it changed in my lifetime? Hell yes, it's changed. Do we have more stuff? Yes. Are we constantly trying to acquire more stuff? Yes. Is it hurtful? Well, that's the argument I think where you're going with it is with mass production of this stuff, are we hurting the planet? Used to, you'd buy a television, it got on the blink, you go get it repaired. Now it gets on the blink, you throw it away and get another one. Mostly anything except out of an automobile, you basically throw it away and get a new one. I mean, computer repair stores used to be everywhere. They're even dwindling down. I mean, because the prices come down, so it's easy to replace stuff. Prices come down, it's easy to have more and more stuff. So I think that just to open it up and to say, has it changed in my lifetime? Massively. But I will go back and say, at the time I started in my elementary school years, my mother went to work. And I was one of those kids that walked home from school, went in the house and was alone till 5 in the evening or whatever. Till she came home. I had an older brother that was around, but a couple 3 years older than me. We had kind of different schedules. I lived that way my entire childhood, and so it's not much different than what you see kids of today when we talk about these children. Both parents are working because they're trying to make ends meet. I would say that's what my parents were doing, trying to make ends meet at the time. We lived in a small house, and when I got to middle school years, we moved into a larger house, a house twice as large as the one we were in. We started doing the middle income type lifestyle and moving further into the suburbs and stepping up a little bit. Not any different than what we aspire today and what we see today. But I had a lot of things in my house. I had 8-track tape decks, cassette tape decks in my room and all that because that's what was available. Now I've got all kind of stuff because there's a lot more things available. So, thank goodness for that.
Do you feel, Randy, there was a lot of pressure on your parents to get stuff for you because they were working, or if they felt that you needed to be distracted by stuff? What do you think?
No, I don't think my parents viewed me as needing stuff. My parents gave me stuff that I desired and earned. Okay. In other words, they would, if I wanted something, I want to wear Levi's. My mother would do everything she could to buy me Levi's. She wouldn't buy the Seconds or another brand or something like that. I think nowadays we're more brand. I mean, when we say these kids today are kind of materialistic, I'm going to go back and say, even the hippie I was somewhat materialistic in the stuff that I wanted growing up, brand conscious. There's just so much stuff, and it comes at us every day. There's something new. There's something new, little widget that you got to have. There's something there and marketers are great at putting that right in front of you and promoting it and getting you just enticed with it that you have to have it, or not necessarily you and I, but the buying teenager or whoever it may be.
On the title of the show, I did a take on the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, of course, and the whole point, the reason for that is that we equate stuff, materialism, with happiness, or a lot of people do, and do you think then is materialism a kind of drug that just makes you feel better? One of the things you pointed out was that we get a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff available because it's cheaper. But what's cheap? I mean, even a laptop that may have cost $3,000 a few years ago, it may cost $200, $300 now. For a lot of people, that's a lot of money, but they'll still buy it because there's pressure to buy it. And so what happens is that they buy it, but they don't have the money for it, so they go into debt, and then that whole cycle happens.
Well, I think, and I want to hog it, let BL and Scotty and Vivek say something, but I think that was present in our youth growing up. It just became, I mean, I really got to say that probably my parents' generation were the ones that started the credit thing and started experimenting with it. When I came along, it became a little bit more ingrained, and nowadays the world lives on credit. That's a sin. That's a sin that we individually control, and some people are not very good at controlling that sin. I mean, there again, marketers have thrown that, and in the States, housing being, people selling you a house 3 times what you need, 3 times more than you can afford, and then the bubble breaks. Well, shame on them, but also shame on you for trying to play the system.
Well, before we go to BL, just want to just accent what you just said, because back in the 50s, a house was 1,200 square feet, and there was the average family size was 3.67. In 2008, the average house size is 2,500 square feet, and the average family size is 2.5. Interesting. Yeah.
My little brother that was the 0.67 still hasn't grown up yet. So
Unlike you guys, I grew up in New York City, and in New York City, nobody has 2,500 square feet unless they're phenomenally wealthy. So I grew up in apartments, and there's a limit to the amount of stuff that fits in apartments. And but what I wanted to say about growing up was that in the late 60s, early 70s, there was, when I became a hippie, I don't know about you, but when I became a hippie, there was a rebellion against the materialism of the 50s. And, that has come full circle now. That the idea that you didn't need so much stuff and that we were ruining the planet, that sort of went away for a while, and now, once again, everybody's looking at that. And, I have gone through periods of extreme minimalism. I just don't want this stuff. I'm getting rid of all this stuff. And you get rid of all the stuff, and damn, it comes back. You get different stuff. And so I had to make rules for stuff. But stuff is, absolutely, it is about comfort. We do spend for comfort. We do acquire. But when I was a kid, there was a TV. You could find out about stuff on TV, or you could read about it in a magazine, or you could, there were not 40 things a kid needed. There was one thing. You needed a certain kind of bike, or you needed a certain kind of jacket. You didn't need 40 different kinds to choose from, and it was different. The choices being so many have made it much more difficult, because I see that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And, there's a lot of I want, I need that's just completely ridiculous. No, we don't.
I remember going, years ago, going into public restrooms, men's rooms, and not having to stand in a urinal and look at a television screen. I mean, that's, I say that saying where we've gone to. I mean, what BL just said, we've got to have this, got to have that. I, too, came out of that, counterculture aspect. I think I'm still in it somewhat. I conform, but one thing that I've noticed, BL, one thing that we did in the 60s, right, we pulled away from it. We wanted healthy living. We went gardening, and we started growing our own food. What do we do now? You know, what do us baby boomers do now? We've got Whole Foods, and we've got all that, pesticide-free groceries. It's just it costs 3 times more than the regular grocery store nowadays. And so everybody's saying, "Hey, I'm doing something to help the planet." And it's all based on, the income and the wealth that people are living.
Yeah, I have a comment, Vivek. What do you have here? Oh, so from okay, go ahead.
From Pamela Barroway. She says she makes purchases and then pays them off at the end of each month. So
smart person.
That's,
yeah. My mother-in-law and mother do that. And see, my mother came up in that credit thing where, Sears and Roebuck probably was her first credit card, or Pennies or something like that. But she does the exact same thing that Pamela is doing. She charges her groceries and everything, but she pays it off when the bill comes, just to get the points.
The vast majority of people don't pay their credit card. I just read a stat the other day. The vast majority simply don't pay them off every month. They're needlessly racking up interest charges, so that's a very dangerous precedent.
I saw a thing the other day, and it was an advertisement. You put $3,000 on a credit card, and you pay the minimum bill, and you wind up paying it off in 13 years, and you pay something like, or 20-something years, and you wind up paying $13,000 for that $3,000.
Yeah, people don't. That's way in the future, right? They don't think about that. They think
right.
the monthly.
But what they're getting is they're getting more stuff.
Yeah, and it's all about that. Look,
today,
I look
rich. Today.
It's about appearance, right?
We will not
but the stuff that they bought becomes outdated within a year or so. How about that? I mean, you buy a new TV. Within 6 months, a new model comes up with new features.
Yeah, but do you really need all that, Vivek?
No, you didn't need the the first one when you bought the.
Well, that's an important question. I mean, how many actually buy things because they actually need them?
It's like when you think about it. Take an iPhone. As soon as there's people that trade their iPhone every time the new one comes out.
Hmm.
I'm going to jump
that's
in.
a really important. I'm sorry, Scott. That's a really important point. Like, do you actually need it? I'm in a phase of my life and spending where I'm saying, if I don't need it, I'm not buying it. It's a very novel concept for me.
Well,
yes.
I'm going to jump. Okay, I'm finally going to jump in here, and forgive me if this is a little bit too esoteric, but it's all relative. And I thought immediately, and if you could pin me, Ray, so the other me, so that people can see this. It's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It depends on where you are on the hierarchy. So you could start off, and you've got to have food on the table, right? And you've got to take care of safety and love and belongings, esteem, and then your self-actualization. So somewhere along the line, each one of these areas depends on what you get, and then. I don't know. Is it that we're all self-actualized, or is it that we think we're self-actualized, and then we find out that material stuff only lasts so long, and then we have to do something else in order to be at the top of the pyramid?
I think you just said it there, Scott. I think a lot of that is about self-esteem and identifying who you are by what you have. I think that's a really big factor in this. And it's not just North America, as I said. It's spreading all over the world. Yeah, so I'm going to go to my second question. So what do you think the effect of consumer society has on our culture? Okay.
I think that we have. I do think that we have. I mean, it used to be called keeping up with the Joneses or whatever, and trying to one up your neighbors and all that. I do think that we've gone way beyond that. I mean, I think there's some comments about the last question about paying cash or only spending. I mean, there's certainly a segment of society that understands the perils of money and what it can do for you. But I think that for the most part, a larger segment, and I'm not trying to blanket anybody, but I think there's a larger segment of kids, younger adults, 30-year-olds that look at things, look at credit, look at jobs differently than I did when I was coming along. I wanted stuff, but I had it instilled upon me that I needed to wait till I could afford it, or if I was going to charge it, then I needed to exercise restraint in doing that. I think some of that is waned, as we've discussed, in the generations that are behind me coming on, and I think just like what happened in the United States with the financial crisis, it hurt everybody, hurt me, hurt them, and everything. It also created a problem for those kids now that are trying to buy a house. You know, I had difficulty when I bought my first house. It was during Jimmy Carter's administration, and anybody that was around then knows that interest rates were government subsidized, and all of them were 15 to 16% interest rates and things like that. Gas lines and gas rationing. We've all been through that. I think today, though, there is a little temperament that they know that they're being told that what I had is not going to be available for them. But what I had really doesn't really compare to what they have today. You know, about just like I didn't have a computer, an iPhone, and a thing, and a this, and a that, and all that. When I was a kid, I had a skateboard and a bicycle, and I played outside.
Yeah, but that baseline now has changed, right? I'm just going to
well, that's what I'm saying. The baseline has gone way beyond that. So if you want to back up to what I had, you know, and compare it to what you got today, I think our you know, our planet is inundated with a lot more stuff than we were 40 years ago, 20 years ago, and I don't think that's going to change.
When you and I were growing up, well, there were two types of wine, right? Red and white. There are two types of cheeses, Velveeta and cheddar.
Maybe in Seattle.
And there was Budweiser, Falstaff, and then some foreign German beer, maybe. You know.
But I think Ray's question was, what is the effect of all of this? Is it bad? Is it just different? And it seems to me that the effect of this increased consumerism is bad because it's done often at the expense of things like actually dealing with situations and actually thinking them through. So, you know, this whole bombardment that we have with messages and advertising, and it's impossible to internalize it without wanting some of it. So is it a good thing? It's terrible. It creates all that. When I see what gets thrown out on a weekly basis from the apartment building where I live, I see couches that are in better shape than the one I have. Somebody threw it out. They just got a new one. Somebody threw out, you know, and that stuff is gone in an instant because people come around and that don't have that money, they just come around and they pick up the stuff. The disposability of things like a couch, you know, that's a little scary. But I just want another one, so I threw it out.
If the public is alarmed by it, okay, just take a sampling across this thing, and we say, hey, there's an issue there. But if the public's alarmed by it, why are we asking for Black Friday to go away and we'll start it on Thirsty Thursday or, you know, Weekly Wednesday or whatever for the shopping? I mean, do the people that I see on television standing in line and running over people and little children getting hurt because they're racing for a 45-inch TV that's selling for $200, do they really need all that stuff? I mean,
no, and I think advertising and marketing knows that, and they speak to the human instinct to acquire things. And again, it's about that self-esteem, as Scott was saying. I just want to bring something up because we didn't get to the third question yet. But I think this really hurts society. And I came across this article which kind of, I guess, supported what I was thinking about. It's consumerism is creating cunning and callous kids. I think this has a huge impact on our children and our families. Harried parenting and rampant materialism are making children meaner and more self-absorbed. Raised to prize consumer goods over people, children with low empathy are turning into narcissistic adults who have never learned the intrinsic rewards of social belonging and interdependence. Parents feel guilty because they're busy and give kids what they want right away, which leads to an inability to delay gratification, which speaks to, I think it was, who was that? We had a comment, Vivek, from, I think it was Karen. Yes, Karen Chin. Let's see if I can get that up here.
Instant gratification. Most don't think.
Yep, people are into instant gratification. Most don't think about the future, even a year from now, and that's across the board. No matter who you're talking about, whether it's businesses, whatever, it's all about instant now, and I think it has a lot of repercussions.
But
Well,
doesn't that,
I'm afraid that this sounds a lot like, kids today, you just can't, look at what they're doing and approve of it. I mean, I think we sound like we're not in touch with the kids.
I think it may be a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's put it on our shoulders, BL, because our generation started this thing where no kid's a loser. I mean, think about these kids now. They're taught in school that everybody's a winner. Literally, everybody's a winner. You play a game, nobody gets scolded for not excelling at the game. The losing team is not considered a losing team. I mean, that has an impact. So a kid expects everything to be rosy.
Let's bring up Jessica, because we missed Jessica, and here she is. I'll read as much as I can, and then we are kind of going over time on this topic, but I think it's fine. So Jessica says, we're going through a simplification process in our house. What do we not use and it's gone? What can we live without because used occasionally? Who can we give away things to make sure we aren't filling landfills? And she speaks to the cost, the ecological cost of consumerism, and that is a very serious issue that I don't know if enough people think about to make a difference, to stop this thing. And that's my last question, and we're going to move on. Is it too late to turn back? Is it going to take a social revolution of some sort to say enough with this, enough with feeding the coffers of bankers and that 1% of people who are buying these super mansions and all that, while people are homeless, while people are struggling, while people are getting themselves into debt, trying to catch up with that American dream? What do you think?
A question well asked is an answer half given. Excuse me, BL. But yes, the answer to your question is I think it is going to take a revolution. BL, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I think it is going to take a revolution, and I think that revolution has begun. And I think that there are many of us, including me, who just feel like all of this consumerism is on the rather disgusting side, especially when you see people sleeping on the streets. I don't know if they're sleeping on the streets where you live, but here in New York they are. And, to think that, you need another whatever that you already have when somebody's starving or freezing, if that doesn't start a revolution, I don't know what will. But some of us are going to have to lead it. And that's how it was in the 60s and the 70s, and that's how it is again. Some of us have to lead by example. And, I'm in my own life, I'm really trying hard to do that.
Go girl. That's all.
My wife and I practice giving. We support second shelters and things like that. We never dispose of anything at all. We take it and donate it. I mean, it's household trash, but I'm talking about clothing or electronics or anything like that. It all goes to Goodwill Industries, who can take a tattered shirt and they even recycle that and bring it back in. The monies go back in. So I would suggest, and I think BL mentioned in the green room that today is Giving Tuesday, that if you can find some organization in your community, all communities have those, but some good organization that is helping those people, as BL was talking about, then I would strongly suggest
on Twitter.
It becomes a habit. It becomes a guilt thing because I can't throw something away now. I have to put it aside and hold it into a storage thing till I can take it off and drop it off at their collection site.
Maybe someone could post a link, like you were mentioning Twitter, BL.
Go on Twitter and use the hashtag Giving Tuesday, and you will find thousands of organizations who are using it to talk about causes that are seeking contributions today. And you will find, if you put in Giving Tuesday animals, you put in Giving Tuesday homeless, whatever, you will find that it will all come up.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to take a little bit opposite side or just a negative side to your question, Ray. I don't know that that genie will ever go back in the bottle. I really don't. I don't see a desire to put it. Now I see passion among people that are saying that's just too much stuff. I do see that, but I don't see a desire to quit, because a lot of it lot of it triggers around innovation, and entrepreneurship and things like that, and that's what's prevalent today. So I don't see it, this is what fascinates me, and I'm in the middle of building a new house, so I'm constantly researching things that are out there today. There are so many fun me things out there that are coming on, these neat little gadgets that have to do with every aspect of your life that are amazing, and they're replacing certain things. They're at a cost. But I mean, as far as something as a light switch cover in your house, what people have invented and what you can do with that. So I don't see it going on. I got to have it. I'm like, man, that's something that I might as well, put that in there, because in 2 years from now or 4 years from now, it'll be in every house. It'll be common.
Well, I don't think. Okay, this is because we totally took almost the whole show on the topic, and we didn't get to the lunchbox stuff, and I'm going to try to get at least a couple things in, but let's finish this with what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to be our choice to start the revolution. We're going to start the stuff, and you definitely need movements to start. I think it's going to be chosen for us. Like the 2008 depression was chosen for us by greed and the financial things. With the drop in oil resources, and that's up and down for sure, with the tensions between countries now, I think it's going to be a catastrophe that's going to make us change. Much like England after the Second World War went back decades in terms of what they had materialistically and how much they had to rebuild. I think we're not going to have a choice. I don't think we're going to have access to all that stuff, because it's going to be a huge crash, and we're going to have to find out another way of doing things. I hope, so I think yes, I think something's going to happen to make it change, because I don't think if it's left to us voluntarily that we will. We're still dealing with people not recycling. God, we've been on the recycling thing since the 60s. So yes, I think that choice is going to have to be made for us. So, wow, a lot of chew on there.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, okay.
Well, one of the things that has started to change is the sharing economy, and the idea that people are, rather than buying, are sharing. And I think you're going to see that trend continue. But what you just said is extremely frightening and probably prescient.
I hope not. Okay, so let's just try to squeeze what we have. And I'll ask you maybe to choose what you think that you really want to share with us. Okay, I'll start. I have basically I want to bring your attention to a post by Mark Traphagen, which is extremely important if you're in marketing about using a face. And the post is Personal Brand Punch: Why Your Brand Should Be Represented by Real People. And he talks about the power of social brand, the power of brand EAT, E-A-T, which is expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, the power of the personal for social EAT, and putting the power to work. So it's an excellent, excellent article. I'll put the link in the event page. So next.
Okay, I'm going to jump in, and if you can go ahead and again pin the other me.
Okay.
And this will be both my lunchbox and my whatever that other thing is. It's the L curve, okay? And it's a few years old, but this is an illustration of the distribution of income. And if this was I'll go back. This is a football field, and if on the 50-yard line is the average person, and if you were to give them $100 bills, their yearly income would be about 2 or 3 inches worth of $100 bills. Then if you go down to the 95-yard line, that's the households of making $100,000 a year or so. And you'd have about 4 inches worth of $100 bills. Now, if you wanted to talk about billionaires, that's what $1 billion looks like. And there are about 400 billionaires in this country. Incidentally, that's a sequoia tree that's on the screen there. And then finally, if you wanted to get to a $10 billion mark, that's Mount Everest. And if you wanted to get to what Bill Gates has, this is $50 billion, Bill Gates' greatest estimated one-year increase in net worth, and that goes into the stratosphere. So if that is the L curve, and if there's going to be a revolution, it's going to be because 0.1% of the population has so much money and so much wealth, and the rest of us have 2 inches, 3 inches of $100 bills.
And they say size doesn't matter. Wow.
Touche.
My topic, whatever lunch topic would have been, the discussion of return on investment has always been prevalent and forefront with social media, and there's been plenty of opinions out there. But I ran across one of Jason Fall's recent blog posts, and what most people are trying to put numeric quantities around human interactions. I'll share the link. It kind of gives you a different perspective by asking a different question. So I'll share that with the audience.
And I brought a book. Can I show it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is completely off topic, but important to all of us. It is a book called Fitness for Geeks. And it takes a scientific approach to why you should be fit, and it also helps with nutrition, and it suggests that you get up out of your chair and go outside. It's a radical concept, I know, but it's
too cold.
It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too rainy. It's too dark. I'm so busy. Let me just do one more thing. But it tells you, what you should eat, and gives you some exercises that you can do in your chair, and that ones that you need to get out of it for, and it's written in a very entertaining way, and it is by Bruce Perry. It is not a new book, and it took me a while to take it off the shelf and read it because it requires me to move more, but it's really it's about the science of nutrition and health and exercise, and it's for geeks. I mean, if you like the details like that, you'll find them there, and you'll also really find some stuff that you might actually want to do.
Oh, thanks a lot, BL. Vivek, you want to share a video, I believe.
Yeah, the link is already there on the event stream. So there were 3 points which I wanted, but I think you have run out of time. So,
well, if you can just give us a quick overview.
Yeah, this is actually a person who has done a lot of work in spirituality and so on, and he says what we are losing is one of the major things he says is the successful people, they appear to be so unhappy, and his question is why is that the successful people appear so unhappy when that happens. And he gives the example of the hippies in the 60s. So,
okay, cool. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that. And thanks for putting that link in the event page. Okay, guys, this was really a great show. Oh, man, we could just go on for hours about this. And me in the green room. So thanks for coming by. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Share it if you like it. Leave your comments and questions in the event page. And we'll see you next week with episode 60. Take care. Bye-bye.